And we're live. Hello, how you doing? Brett Campbell here. Welcome to another episode of Notified. We're doing a Notified first here actually. We are streaming live straight from the video camera. So we've been in production for the last 30 minutes trying to figure this out, get this set up. So we're super excited to be able to bring this show to you live. Today we're going to be talking about two very, very hot and important topics that you will need to understand if you are utilizing Facebook advertising or you are thinking about utilizing Facebook advertising to acquire more leads and more customers. The first story that we're going to be talking about is how Facebook earnings have sent stock to a record high, which has literally, it's great for the shareholders, but for the Facebook advertiser and for the person wanting to start Facebook advertising, it's not so good. It means there has been an increase of 43% across ad spend. So we're going to talk about that and share more on that particular topic. We're also going to talk about a very, very important removal of some specific targeting options. This actually, we really only came, I guess, across this in the last few weeks because we went to go and do what we'd normally do from a very specific targeting perspective, and it was no longer there, and we had to dig deeper and we found out more information, and the reality is Facebook has just removed it. So two topics today. Let's get stuck straight into the first one. The first one, we have an article here from marketwatch.com. It says Facebook earnings send stock to record after massive ad price increase. So like I said, very good for the shareholder, not so good for us advertisers. What it simply means is it's going to be now even harder for you to penetrate the market. And what that also means is it's even more important for you now to have a clear plan and a clear strategy. So there's no more just ad hoc booster post for $20 type scenarios. You're not going to get the return that you once were. So this article starts off, it says Facebook Inc. shares reversed course to record high after Wednesday's earnings report. When the company reported double-digit advertising price growth amid massive changes to its core product. Basically, the chief financial officer, David Weiner, it must be called David Weiner, unfortunate, in Prepared Markets remarks on a post-earnings conference call. Basically, they had the conference call and he said the average price per Facebook ad increased by 43%. That's crazy. So what's brought that on is basically the total number of impressions, pages loaded with Facebook ads gained 4%. So basically what that means is more people now are wanting to jump on the bandwagon and put their Facebook ads out there. But once again, there's only so much bandwidth, there's only so many people, there's only so much community where your ads can actually be put in front of. So it's becoming a lot harder and harder to be able to penetrate the market. So that's a really... We've sort of sat on this. I've known this for some time. I wanted to see how this sort of played out. Again, this was reported actually back in February. So again, in digital space, it's old news. However, we wanted to see how that spans across campaigns. So we're running obviously multiple campaigns for multiple different clients in multiple different niches. And we've started to see in some, not every, so you don't need to all hit the panic buttons. It can be very industry specific. We've started to see that what we used to be able to get from a conversion perspective, it is increasing. Not to the level of 43% yet. There's a couple industries that are actually showing that. So again, once, you know, the important part of this is you can either do what most people probably do is just go, Facebook ads is too hard. They just want more of my money, I'm giving up. Or you can really refine and find out a better strategy on how you can be moving forward. They also state here, compared with a year ago quarter, the rates of impressions, growth, and ad price has flipped. In 2016, just to give you context, in 2016, the fourth quarter, impressions grew by 49%. That's crazy. So there's been an exponential curve of people coming into Facebook, creating more ads. And like anything, it's the demand. And Facebook own the race course. Basically, they can decide to charge what they want to for it. But they have to be smart about this. They can't go and punish all advertisers because it will get to a point where you go, it's just not viable for me to continue advertising on Facebook. Something interesting as well, Marketplace. If you haven't heard of Marketplace, Marketplace is simply the online eBay inside Facebook, which is interesting. Funny story there. We just sold one of our vehicles, motor vehicles, and we put it up in Australia here on carsales.com, which is the primary website where you'd go and sell your vehicle. And we put an ad up on there, so we actually paid money to be listed on the site. We also went to Gumtree, which is, I guess you would say Google's smaller brother website and search engine, and we put an ad up on there. And we didn't get anything for about a week. 2 weeks passed, and we're like, geez, what do we do? And this marketplace kept popping up. I hadn't really paid too much attention to it, which I sort of broke one of my first golden rules. My first golden rule on Facebook is to always do what Facebook wants you to do. If they bring out a new feature, you need to check it out, right? You just need to check it out. Anyway, we're like, why don't we put the vehicle up in Marketplace, see what happens. Put the vehicle up in Marketplace, and we sold it within a week. So that's unbelievable, first and foremost. So a little bit of a side note, if you want to sell anything, put it on Marketplace. And the article finally goes on, and this is more of a, not that it's a surprise, but Facebook's one of the 6 companies that have topped a $500 billion market valuation. It's crazy. They own the race course. I talked about in the previous episode here of Notified about how Facebook are going through some really big problems right now with Cambridge Analytica and data and privacy issues and all of this. And that's just what happens when they've reached exponential growth. Right, they've reached exponential growth, and now they need to try and figure out all these things. They grew so quickly that they could never have spent the right amount of time needed to really refine these processes and get them sorted. So, which leads us on to our second story today. Our second story comes from marketingland.com, where they say Facebook's removal of 4 major targeting options does not apply to existing customers. So, let me talk about that. Facebook have basically disabled the opportunity and the ability for you to be able to target people based on the employee status. So what you could previously do is you could set an ad out and send it to anyone who has CEO in their title. They're also removing it for schools. So if you have a specific school, you're from a specific school, you can't target that school anymore. Fields of study. So if you've studied at a particular area, a particular university, or you've studied some type of industry, you can no longer target people based on that. And also job titles. So this is quite big. This is really big, especially from a lot of targeting that we do utilize as one of our modalities is title targeting. There's nothing better. If you're trying to target people who are factory workers and you run an ad and you select factory worker, the message is going to the right person. But now they've disabled it for now, and here's why. They say, last week, Facebook removed 4 targeting options after a ProPublica report found that the fields could be used to target ads to people who filled in, quote, Jew hater as their educational field of study and Nazi party as their employer. So basically, as the user, you had the ability to go in and say whatever you wanted in there, which some people, as you could tell, when you got 2 billion people on a platform, people are always going to push the barriers. Someone went in there and said, I'm a Jew hater as an educational field. Now, that's certainly not acceptable, and nor should it be. However, this minority have now created an issue for advertisers, for people who do have products and services and want to put it in front of the right people. It's become a problem. To help ensure that targeting is not used for discriminatory purposes, we are removing these self-reported targeting fields until we have the right processes in place to help prevent this issue. The company wrote in a blog post published last week, this is Facebook, the 4 targeting options in question are people's schools, employer, field of study, and job title, which Facebook algorithm populated by crawling the text people had submitted as entries on their Facebook profile. So I think the fix to this is going to be quite simple. What they need to do is just have selected options that you can only select. But of course, trying to, it's not a matter of sit there and write some code and ta-da, it's out there to every 2 billion users. They need to go through their proper processes, and it could probably take months and months to be able to execute this new strategy. It says, however, the removal only applies to new campaigns. So we currently have ad sets, campaigns running where we are targeting specific job titles and so forth, and they're okay. That's not a problem. What Facebook are doing now is the ability to be able to do that moving forward has now ceased. So that's no longer going to be an option, which for some industries is going to be a lot harder because one of your main primary targeting options was job titles. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. That Facebook would make a change to its ad platform and not apply the changes retroactively is not usual. So basically, the company typically rolls out changes over time. That's really what they're trying to do here. They're not going to go back through all of your ads, because you imagine if you had 50 clients and you got multiple different ads running, and all of a sudden that's disabled, your ads are stuffed, they're not working, it's a waste of money, they'll cause a mutiny. So they're doing this progressively, they're doing it slowly. It's just, again, another hand up in the air from Facebook to say, look, we're trying to do our best to make these changes. You know, unfortunately, when you have a service where you've got 2 billion users, it can be very, very hard to try and cater to everyone's specific wants and needs. They did go on to say on the developers.facebook newsfeed here, they said last week, after being notified, so Facebook have obviously been notified that our targeting capabilities allowed people, it's interesting how they didn't even know that themselves. They're saying after they were notified about it, they were able to reach people based on offensive self-reported entries. So they've removed more than 3 million self-reported terms as targeting options in their ad interface. That's a lot of options that are now removed. As extra measures of precaution, we removed the 3 million terms as targeting options that were derived from fields of study, schools, etc. But we've also heard from advertisers how useful this targeting can be. Well, yeah, very, very useful. So here's what they're doing. After a thorough review, we're making additional changes to improve our policies. The interesting thing here, actually, I want to digress just quietly. They've said here, after discovering a small percentage of people had entered offensive response, I would love to know that percentage. I'm sure they would have that number. Like, what are we talking here? Are we talking hundreds of people? Are we talking thousands? Are we talking hundreds of thousands or millions? It'd be interesting to see what level of scale Facebook have made their determination off based off that. You know, it could be very surprising. It could be less than 100,000. And in the overall scheme of things, when you've got 2 billion users, I mean, is it the right thing to be doing right now? I don't know. That's why I'm sitting here and I'm not sitting in Facebook headquarters, I guess. So after a thorough review, we're making additional changes and improvement, enforcing practices, and also adding back. So they're actually now adding back 5,000 commonly used targeting terms that meet their community standards. So as the story unfolds, I'm sure there's going to be more options. They're going to add back specific targeting. I would dare say that things such as CEO and your actual job title, that is a job title, I'm sure they'll be getting those back as soon as possible. They've said following a manual review, we'll be reinstating around 5,000 of the most commonly used terms for targeting. The reinstated terms pertains to common cases such as student for a university that hopes to enroll math students, or nurse for a publication that wants nursing professionals, okay, or marketer for a company who wants to hire marketers. So they're going to be bringing back the standard terms, which is going to be great. If you're probably wondering why I'm looking to the left as well, don't worry, I don't have Ryneck. The laptop here, rookie error, has it's got no battery, so I've got nothing on here. I've got the articles up there today. But like I said, this is our first episode, our live episode, and we wanted to make it happen. We wanted to bring the news to you because it's super important, regardless of however it's delivered, if I'm looking out there to the sky. But that's it. That's all we got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first of many live episodes of Notified. Please let us know what you think. Please leave a comment below. If you got value out of this, tag a friend in the comments. Let them know about this news and how it might affect them. Hit the share button, hit the love button, hit whatever button you want. And until next time, I'm Brett Campbell, and you've been notified. And the outro. Cue the outro.